Today is Saturday, November 14th, 2015, and this is the Bunny Slippers of Evil Job Seekers Call-In Show, presented by Evil Bunny Consulting. I'm your host, Tyrone Griffin, and if it's 3 p.m. you have on your bunny slippers, you are not looking for a job. Welcome, first-time and returning listeners. In this show, we discuss strategies and tactics of job search, staying motivated, and dealing with career transition. For more tips, resources, daily motivations, and to listen to archive shows, go to the website bunnyslippersofevil.com. There you will also find links to our Facebook page and our Twitter handle. If you are listening live, you can call in with your elevator speech. The number is 347-202-0929. Again, that number is 347-202-0929. We're going to get away from our sponsors this week because I want to get right into the show. I do have one person on the line, but let me give the ground rules for those new listeners. Call in if you want to give your elevator speech. This is our job search speed dating show. And basically, you get to call in and give your 30-second elevator speech. The more people call in, the more people get heard. The less people call in, the more time each person has. So if you hear me talking to somebody for a while, it's because either the queue is starting to get shorter, there's nobody else in the queue. And if this is an opportunity for you to give your elevator speech to talk about what it is you're looking for in a job, where you are, what your background is. So that's the whole reason we're doing this show. Now, couple of ground rules. I can click on people and let them know that it's their time. The way I will identify everybody is by the last 4 digits of the phone number you called in on. Okay, so if I get a lot of people in the queue and I click hi caller, I don't want everybody yelling into their phone, hi, are you talking to me? You talking to me? I'm going to go by the last 4 digits of the number you call in on. So again, if you are listening live and you want to call in and get in on this, the number is 347-202-0929. Again, that number, excuse me, that number is 347-202-0929. So we're going to go to our first caller. This caller is number 4485. Let me click on him. Hello, 4485. Are you there?
Yes, I am. Good morning, Tyrone, and good morning, everyone else. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Oh, you're more than welcome.
I am Monica Melton, and I love to learn. As a facilitator of 10 years, I'm excited when people I teach become engaged in the learning process. I love an engaged audience. People that I've taught tell me that I foster innovative, motivational, interactive training programs that maximize adult learning. I am really excited about helping an organization with their training objectives, and I'm seeking an opportunity as a training specialist. I am on LinkedIn at Monica L. Melton, PhD. Monica, L as in Larry, Melton, Melton, PhD. Thank you.
Okay, well, Monica, thank you so much for your call. Since I told you the queue is kind of empty at the moment, so I'm going to, if you don't mind, I would like to talk to you a little bit about what you do a little bit more in detail, if you don't mind.
Okay, that would be fine.
I know, caught you off guard, and I do apologize for that. So you say you're into you want to find a position where you're doing training, adult training in corporate settings.
Yes, it could be corporate, absolutely. I am interested, for instance, in the healthcare industry or healthcare management. I am also, quite honest with you, Tyrone, there are quite a lot of opportunities out there to contract as a training professional, training specialist professional. So I am open to contract positions, temporary positions, as well as full-time employment. I love to learn, and I can facilitate learning, pretty much anywhere. I can do it virtually. I can do it on the phone like we're doing now. I can do it face-to-face. As long as I'm just behind the camera, in front of the camera, behind the microphone, and engaging people. I love to engage audiences, and there's nothing more exciting for me than when I have engaged people to teach.
Okay. Let me ask you, is your background? My mother was a teacher, and
Yes.
you have a background in teaching, or is that
My
part?
background, yes, is in education. Yes, I was in I was a professor at Spelman College in Florida Atlantic University,
Okay.
where I taught students about women's health and other women's issues. I also have a background in the public sector, the government, and at the government, I trained in a call center, and I trained staff, coworkers on soft skills as well as more technical aspects of the job. I was a subject matter expert, and I just continued that into education. I also have some publications, so I have excellent oral as well as written communication skills, and I think that's about it as far as
Okay.
education goes.
Okay. So yeah, so you're down here in the ATL area.
Yes, I am in Atlanta. However, to be honest with you, I am also interested. So, for instance, if somebody has an opportunity for me in Atlanta, I'm excited, thrilled, and overjoyed. But if they're temporary positions and people have some contract work for me to do, say, for instance, in Florida, I would be more than happy to go there and do contract work, especially in the wintertime
Yeah.
in Orlando or places like that. I have family there, so it would not be a strain at all to accept some contract temporary work in Florida. I would love to do that as well.
Yeah. I was thinking, yeah, Florida right about now would be nice. I mean, it's nice here in the ATL, but yeah, Florida's a lot nicer. Okay. Well, let me make sure I don't that people don't get you're on LinkedIn. What is your name on LinkedIn again?
It's Monica. That's my first name, Monica, and then L is in my middle name, which is it's not Larry, but L for Larry, and then my last name is MELTON PhD.
Monica L. Melton, PhD.
Yes, that's
Okay.
absolutely correct.
Okay, great. Do you have an email address you would want to publish? You don't have to. I
Yes,
just.
my email address. No, it's on LinkedIn, so it's public. My email address is my name, Monica Melton, and then the number 2, Monica Melton 2@gmail.com.
Okay, great. It's funny. I have an old AOL account, email address, and people are like, "Well, why do you stay on AOL?"
Yeah.
Because I got my name with no numbers. To be honest, be totally honest.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah,
That's
away. Yeah.
absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like, yeah, I got
Got
that.
that early
Yeah,
on, right?
yeah. I was like, customer number 14 or something crazy like that. But yeah, I got my name with no numbers, and I just, for that reason alone, I'm keeping my AOL account. But okay,
So,
well,
is it all right if I ask you a question?
sure, yeah. Uh-oh.
I'm just wondering what tips you have someone else?
No. I'm just like, uh-oh, somebody's gonna ask me a question.
Oh, okay. I'm just wondering what tips that you would give job seekers. What would you say is your greatest tip to staying motivated during your job hunt? In terms of personal, what was the thing that kept you motivated and kept you excited the most?
Well, I have some habits like eating and sleeping, that I like to do. So yeah, when you're out of work, you got to remember, okay, I'm doing this so I can get some money to get some food. No, but seriously, the thing that kept me I'll be honest. When I was out, the longest time I was out was 15 months back in 2010 when it was really bad. And the thing that kept me going, it was a couple of things kept me going every day. One, I don't touch on religion too much on the show because I don't, I kind of consider religions between you and your God and me and my God, and that's it.
Yeah.
But for me, it was my faith. It was faith that there was somebody or something that was in charge, more powerful than me. Sounds crazy, and I've said it on the show a few times. When I started this show, I had been doing speaking arrangements at different job networking meetings. I was out of work, but I was going to these meetings and talking to other fellow unemployed people about dealing with transition. And, the reason I did that was because God told me to. God, at some point, the voice came to me and said, "You help everybody else and I'll take care of you." And, I can't remember the day or the time it happened, but I know that idea was in my head, and I said, "Okay, God, you're gonna take care of this." So for me, the one of the things that kept me going was my faith and just a belief that there was a plan, that everything happens for a reason. I've learned that everything happens for a reason. Even in subsequent layoffs, and I've been out of work maybe 3 times for various amounts of time.
Okay. Yes.
I've learned that everything does happen for a reason. You know,
Okay.
I can talk about a 12-month span where I went from the lowest of lows to the highest of highs, and worked at 3 companies in that
Wow.
12-month period. But I had to go through what I went through at the first one to get to the second one to get me the bridge to the third one.
Okay.
You know, but you know, to answer that question, everybody's got to find something. I've interviewed actresses on this show about how they deal with rejection, because that's really what it is. When you go on a job interview or you go on
Right.
an audition every day or 2 or 3 a day and you get rejected, how do you keep going? With people in
Yes.
entertainment, it's a little different because they love their craft, so they keep going because every time they get a role, it's a temporary thing. No role is permanent, but they love their craft, so that's what keeps them going. When you're in transition, it's people call it come to Jesus meeting. You got to understand
Yes.
that you're out there by yourself a lot of times. There's nobody going to help you or can help you in some situations. I mean, you have your friends, but nobody's going to get a job for you. Nobody's going to come find a job, gift wrap it, and hand it to you, and walk you into the building and say, "Get to work." So it's
That's right.
it's the idea that you have to do it. Now, I've known people who are, when I was in transition, I remember one incident where somebody disappeared for about a week. Nobody could find them. People were calling the house and weren't getting an answer, and
Oh.
yeah, I mean, it turned out okay. But here's the thing about when you're in transition, at least back in 2010 when I was there, it was a lot of us in transition. So we had your group of friends who were all looking for jobs, and everybody's hoping everybody would find something. But we don't hang out, so nobody really knows where anybody lives. You may know somebody's
That's
phone
right.
number or email, but that's all you know. So the reason I tell that story is because with this particular person, nobody knew where they lived. Their resume didn't have their address on it. Their LinkedIn didn't have their address on it. So, we had their resume or we had their phone number, but we didn't know where they lived. So that was kind of scary. Luckily, yeah, the person was having one of those bad weeks, and, they answered the phone and they just said, "Yeah, I've been in bed for a week because I just didn't feel like getting up." And, we were like, "Oh, okay, we've
Yeah.
been there." But what keeps you going
Right.
is kind of what keeps you going in life, I think. When you're working, going to work every day, you can say, "I'm going to work for the paycheck." But there are people who succeed more than others do in particular jobs. And I think part of that,
That's right.
part of it, I mean, there's politics and all kinds of other things in that equation. But I think part of it is you go to work, and I'm very guilty of this early in my career. You just went to work. You didn't care about the job. You just went to work and excuse me, you just went to work and did what you were supposed to. You know what you're supposed to do. You just did it, and you didn't really care about being the best or being better at it. It was like, okay, this is what they're paying me to do. I'm just going to go and deal with it. And when I go home, I'm done. But in life, you have to find. People say, do what you love and the money will follow. Yeah. Well, what I love is to sit on the couch with a remote in my hand, and the money's not going to follow me. But whatever, it's the truth. But whatever you're doing, find a way. Instead of finding your passion, find a way to find passion in whatever you're
That's right.
doing.
That's right.
Find a way to,
Absolutely right.
to say this is something I'm doing. I want to do this well. Forget everything else. I want to do
And I
this
also
well.
think
Go ahead.
the other thing that I see that I think this part of my transition has brought to me is the concept of work as service. And so when I think about, as I'm looking available on LinkedIn and Indeed and all of these other sites. And I'm reading them, the job descriptions. I'm thinking, okay, how can I best serve this organization? What do I have to bring to them? And if I see that I don't really have anything to bring to them, then I may pass on until I can find one. Then I'm like, okay, yes, I can do this, I can do this, I can help here, I can do this. And that is kind of exciting because I don't think that I've ever thought about a job. Well, it's been a long time, to be honest with you, since I have been in transition. Very, very long time. So this is kind of a new thought process for me. And then the other thing, to your point about finding your passion and the money will follow, I just hate to quantify my passions. And I use the word plural because there are many things that I'm passionate about. And maybe some of them can be quantified, but maybe some of them can't. And if they can, do I really want to quantify them? Can I just be happy sitting back? Like, for instance, I'm learning guitar now. I've never played an instrument before. And I can't say that I'm good, but I love it. So, you know, do I really want to quantify that? I don't think so. And I don't think you do either. But at the same time, I think it's important what you're saying, right, to find something in what you're doing that you can be passionate about. And I also think that it's important to have your position, but then to also have extracurricular activities that you do that you're passionate about. So it shouldn't just be your job that you have passion around. It should be, you know, your home life, your family, your friends, the things that you're doing in the community. You know, it should filter into all aspects of your life. And then last, I think that this issue of I don't know if I quite realized before. I think I was like you, right, where I thought that as long as I had money, I would be okay. As long as I had money, that the job was to pay the bills. But now, without a job, and I have a little bit of money, thank goodness, and I find that, okay, money is not as much of an issue as I thought it was. What's really an issue is that somehow I place a value in having a job and being able to go to work and being able to do something, you know, during a certain period of time during the day. And sure, I like to relax and I like a flexible schedule. I love that just as much as the next person. But the thing for me that gets in my head more than anything is the fact that, I don't know, maybe it's a habit after so many years of working, I feel kind of, I don't know if the word is empty, but I feel a little lost without having a job. And so I'm like, oh, so money, yes, I need to eat, I need to live, and I like to be comfortable just as much as the next person. But I also, having a job is important to me. And without one, I find that I don't feel quite the same as I did when I had one. Even though probably there were days when I came home and complained about the job that I had, I find that being on the other side, and I've never had this thought before, that, oh, it's more than just about a paycheck. It really is just about the value of having some place to go, being able to do something, use the skills that I have, and be of assistance to somebody else.
Well, you know what? You touched on a couple of things that were really good. I'm going to try to address them, but the first one I'm going to address is the idea of, you know, when we work. Here's the problem. One problem I see with our society is that we put so much value on what people do. You know, think about, you know, I've given the example on here many times. You go to a dinner party or, you know, a cookout or something, and you're, you know, a bar or whatever, you know, meet people. And, you know, after you get through the names of, okay, what's my name, da, 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 the next thing is, okay, so what do you do? You know, and think about that. At the same time, there are studies that show that majority of people are not happy with their jobs, but yet we still use that to identify what people are. You know, so-and-so's an accountant, so-and-so's a lawyer. You know, I mean, we put one of the labels we put on people is based on what they do. When at the same time, you know, people are not happy with what they do, but yet that's what we're calling them. We're looking at them.
Yes, that's right.
That's one thing, and that feeling when you don't have that label, that can get to you. You know, because somebody said, well, what are you? And, you know, your opening line was great. I'm an educator. regardless of if you're employed or not, you still see yourself as an educator. So for you, the
No,
job,
that's right.
the job title, it's when you say you're an educator, you really are an educator. You're an educator from deep down inside,
Yes.
versus you're an educator because that was the title that the company you worked for gave you. So
Yes, that's right. Because I educate wherever I am.
right,
This is
right,
part of what I do.
right. So yeah, so that's part of the, you said there was an emptiness. I think that's part of it, is that because of the way society puts so much emphasis on your job title, that when you don't have
Yes.
that job title, there is a big open space. So recognize that's probably what's feeding into that part of it. Something else you said, I'm trying to remember what it was, because you were saying some really good things in your comments. But going back to what we were saying before, just in general with job search, or about finding your passion. That's what I think was something you said about that. I think about this show, and who knows, I may only have one caller this week. But you know what? When I started this show, it was because I wanted to help people. I didn't say I want to help a million people. I just want to help one person, or try to help one person.
Right.
Okay, so if I help one person, I'm cool. Or even if I don't, if I try to help one person, let me say that I think that's one of those things we get caught up in the language. People will say things like, hard work. There's nothing shameful about hard work. To me, I take it a step back and say there's nothing shameful about seeking hard work, because sometimes you can't find it, or sometimes the seeking
That's right.
itself is hard work. And people don't look at it like, well, you've been out of work for so long, you're lazy. No, I just haven't found it. One of the things about being in transition in our society today, I think it's maybe not as bad now because there's not as many people as were in transition 5 or 6 years ago.
Right.
But there's a lot of stigma on it. There was this documentary they did about Long Island, they went and HBO did it, and they talked to unemployed people in transition in Long Island. And this group of people, about 4 or 5 people, would meet at a diner every morning and have coffee, and they would basically, they were each other's support group. There's a lot of people who were not unemployed over the last 5 or 6 years, who don't get it, who don't get
Yes.
how crazy it was out there. I saw 60 Minutes a while ago did a story on PhDs in Stanford who were running out of unemployment. They had done their 100 weeks, and these are PhDs. And when we grew up, it was like,
yeah.
you went to college, you went to I have a child right now who's about to go off to, we're doing the college stuff now, and I'm thinking about
That's right.
how I think about how to what I should tell him about college. There's nothing that will guarantee you a job. There is no education that will guarantee you a job. There are PhDs, there are biochemical engineers, there are NASA rocket scientists that are out of work. So yes, there is nothing that will guarantee you a job. But what you realize is you want to put, what I want to do is put him in the situation where he has as many options as possible.
Absolutely.
Where he has.
It's not just.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go on. Finish your thought. I didn't want to.
No, I'm just saying where there's nothing guaranteed, but it's he has options. I understand the thing about job search is being marketable. If that's the most important thing, you got to try to remain marketable in your current job, because you never know when they're going to pull the rug out from under you. So you always got to try to be
That's what I was
marketable.
going to say.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. What were you going to say?
That was going to be the next thing. Was you were saying that there's no guarantee that you'll get a job, and then there's no guarantee that you'll be able to maintain that job.
That's right.
And sometimes it's the company, sometimes it's the economy. It could be many factors. So I think the thing that's really important is to, for sure, create as many opportunities and options for our children today. Also, to encourage them to be industrious and to think outside of the box, because sometimes that is that's the breaking point. right? Where and some people will say, I wrote an article about, and I love Mary J. Blige's song, Work That, where she talks about work what you got. And so sometimes that's all you have. Whatever it is that you have in your hand, whatever it is you have today, you have to work with that. You have to work what you got. And if you become skilled at working what you got, other people will hone in on that and hone in on this principle of that you are industrious and that you can work with what's in your hand. And ultimately, that's what everybody wants, whether you're if you're an employee or even as an entrepreneur, even in volunteer work, people want other people that know how to work with what's in their hands because we're all limited. Right. Companies and organizations are limited. And if you're not able to craft that skill to, I don't want to say to perfection, but at least to hone it to the point where other people can see that you have this ability to work what you got, then that, I think, in itself will ensure that even if you have some period, short-term periods of transition, that you're not going to just be out on the street homeless.
That's right. And, you know, you mentioned money. One of the things, too, that we need to that changed for me was, you know, when I was out of work and I saw like a Black Friday sale. I didn't go, but I saw it on TV. And I thought about, you know, because I didn't have, you don't have any money, you ain't going. But I remember watching the people out there scrambling, and it was one of those things where you realize what is important. You know, flashy things are nice. I'm not going to say they aren't. But the worst thing in the world is to be put out of your house or your apartment, and you got $40,000 worth of furniture, and you realize, I didn't need all of that. You know, the message I try to give, you know, my son and anybody who will listen when it comes to money is live your life, enjoy it, but save. Save. You can never save too much.
Absolutely right.
And you don't need to keep up with the Joneses because the Joneses will go broke and they'll be getting their stuff moved out right with you. And you realize that when you end up in transition, and maybe you have severance and maybe you don't, but you end up in transition and you think about, okay, did I really need to spend this money on this when I had the money? Should I have spent it? You know, and that's a bad feeling. You know, it's like you don't want to look back on your life at age 75 or 80 and realize that you worked 50, 55 years and you didn't save anything. You spent it as fast as you could your whole life. You didn't think about tomorrow. I think that's the thing you have to do in life is, okay, live today, but you also got to be looking at, okay, what's coming up tomorrow? What is, not just financially, but in your job. You know, be active in your career. Take control of your career management. Understand what's going on in your organization. Understand how it can impact you. But more so, keep yourself marketable. Keep your LinkedIn profile updated. Keep yourself marketable. Help other people. That's one of the things that, you know.
90 seconds.
Oh, that's okay. I got 90 seconds left. That's one of the announcements you guys usually don't hear on the show, but I hear in my head. But keep yourself, you know, help other people. You know, and I always tell people that help other people because you will find yourself in a situation where you need help. You know, last night there was a bombing in Paris, and my prayers go out to all those people.
Yeah.
But for the last 2 or 3 months, there have been Syrian refugees trying to find a safe haven, and some of the countries that have they've run to have treated them like crap, to be honest. And I always think about it. I said, okay, this is Europe. Europe is a combination of so many countries. Do you really think that the people that you shun today, 20, 30 years from now, you might not find yourself in a war? You need to run to their country, you know? So try to be kind and helpful to anybody you can. I got 30 seconds left, but I want to make sure. Give me your name one more time so everybody can hear it.
Okay. It's Monica Melton.
Okay, and you're on Monica L.
It's Monica L. Melton, PhD.
Okay.
That's my LinkedIn profile, Monica L. Melton, PhD. And my email address is monicamelton2 at 10 seconds.
Okay. Well, thank you. This was the greatest 30 seconds in my life, the longest. But I want to thank you for calling in. I appreciate it. With that, I'm going to end the show. But Monica, thank you for calling in, and I wish you all the luck, okay?
so much, Tyrone. Let me just ask, I can maybe email you, if it's okay to put this podcast on my LinkedIn profile?
Oh, you are more than happy to. Please do. It'll be the video will be on YouTube. Just meet my face, but the audio. And send me an email, and I'll send you a link to it. Please put it there.
Okay, excellent.
All right. You
All
have a
right,
good
thank you
day.
so much, and thank you so much for your graciousness and your tips.
Right,
You
you-
have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. Bye bye.